All right, we're live and hopefully, fingers crossed, wine free. I see you in the background, girly. She's gonna start whining. This is puppy life. We should have sat her down in there earlier. Anyways, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Premarket Prep session. This is where we go over the important news, notes, analysis, trade ideas, presidential candidates dropping out of the race, new candidates, rising for presidential aspirations. We got a lot of things to go over this week. And a lot of volatility that's been happening over the course of the past few days. We've got crypto, that's responding to the Ethereum ETF approval. You've got, kind of the hype that surrounds that, and then maybe the selling that will ensue once the approval happens. Who knows? We'll have to stay up to date to see. But good morning, everybody. Glad to have you here in pursuit of getting 1% better daily. That's our goal. It's what we're trying to do. So I'm excited to accomplish exactly that. And it looks like we've gotten some nice quiet as she realizes that Papa's working, which is great. And I'm going to take advantage of it, right? Top news, conventional crypto. The cryptoverse will reach new horizons today with the launch of the spot Ether ETFs following their approval by the SEC. Ethereum is trading higher before the funds hit the market, rising 1.3% to $3,520 in early trade. It was only 6 months ago that the first spot Bitcoin ETFs came online, and demand for those funds saw net cumulative inflows of more than $15.1 billion since they started trading on January 11th. Now, backdrop, Ether is the native cryptocurrency to the Ethereum blockchain, which touts benefits such as smart contracts and customizable applications for DeFi. Spot Ether ETFs will track the performance of the crypto as an underlying asset, making buying and reporting easier due to liquidity and transparency. The simple to understand product will also bring more mainstream and give institutional and retail investors another opportunity for crypto diversification. And, recently BlackRock CEO Larry Fink calls Bitcoin digital gold and says that he's no longer a skeptic. And that's, what you'll hear is that people say, especially in the finance industry, right, when it comes to people who, are in banking and all that, like they're going to say what fits their narrative until their narrative changes, right? Until what benefits them most changes. It did not benefit them to tout Bitcoin when they could not make any money off of Bitcoin. But now that it benefits them through these ETFs, to tout Bitcoin and Ethereum, they will tout Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, just investigate everything for yourself. That's the bottom line. No matter what it is, investigate it for yourself, because if you're hearing from someone, who is positioned to benefit from it one way or another, or possibly to, be hindered by it, they're going to have a specific stance for a reason. So go in, learn about it, take the time. Don't just read, headlines, read articles, watch videos, and form a decision for yourself, form postulation for yourself. Quote, the thing that people should keep in mind is that more money into crypto and blockchain is not a rising tide that lifts all boats, said Paul Brody, global blockchain leader at EY, citing similarities to the precious metals industry. Gold is, this is a quote, by the way, gold is $14 to $15 trillion in market cap. That is more than 10 times larger than the next largest precious metal. And I think we will see the same kind of behavior in cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is digital gold, and it will behave like digital gold, and it will be dominant to other crypto assets as gold is to other precious metals. This is a bold claim to make, right? We don't know what cryptos they'll come out with and but he's got his, hat set on Bitcoin. I'm not saying Bitcoin isn't the big player. As of right now, it definitely is the digital gold. It's just, you never know what happens. It can change the game, especially when it comes to applications and as things are more adopted, right? We'll see kind of what becomes most valuable based off of applications. But right now, it definitely is the head horse, the head honcho. And it will be dominant. As dominant to other crypto assets as gold is to other precious metals. Similarly, Ethereum has become the dominant kind of tokenized asset and smart contract platform. Note that new Ether ETFs won't permit staking, which gives investors a source of revenue by earning a yield on token deposits. That could weigh on future demand, with the SEC likely not interested in adding complications or further deliberations about security classifications. Yeah, so staking is just when you buy ETH and you stake it, meaning that it's like putting money in a savings account, right? Hey, if I, don't sell this or do anything with it, it will earn me, interest, small incremental interest, but it will earn me interest. So that's what staking is. But it doesn't look like there's any mechanism set up, nor is there a desire to get a mechanism set up for staking involving Ether ETFs. Because that would be a whole nother ball game. Who's next? OG players like Bitcoin and Ethereum are more decentralized than other ecosystems and benefit from bigger market caps and liquidity, but others are trying to break through. Late last month, Van Eck became the first asset manager to file for a spot Solana ETF in the US, while CBOE recently filed a request with the SEC to list ETFs tied to the cryptocurrency. It's difficult to predict where American regulators will stand on the new applications, given the current regulatory environment. Unlike other regimes like the Markets in Crypto Assets, whose I guess abbreviation is MICA, infrastructure in Europe, things boil down to individual circumstances in the US with lots of time, regulatory clarity, and amendments needed to approve any new applications. Now, in terms of M&A news, did we call this or did we call this? Deal collapse. Given mounting antitrust and investor concerns, cybersecurity startup Wiz has ended talks with Alphabet for a $23 billion deal that would have been the tech giant's largest acquisition so far. We called this. This administration is not the FTC. Every single antitrust body is just chopping it down. If you are a company that wants to acquire another company, right, and you're big names, that deal is not going to go through. It's not. And at this point, I don't understand why they keep trying to make these deals go through. Maybe it's to, lay the groundwork for the potential of an administration change. But at this point, it's like literally any deal, any sector, if it's a big deal, it is not happening. So let's see here. Wiz will instead pursue an IPO as previously planned, while the decision marks another blow for Alphabet in the M&A space after it shelved plans to buy HubSpot, which is also, blowing up. Their ticker's Hubs. Quote, saying no to such humbling offers is tough, but with our exceptional team, I feel confident in making that choice, Wiz CEO Asaf Rappaport said in a reported memo. Alphabet will report Q2 results after the bell today amid lofty Wall Street expectations. And also if you've seen anything like Succession, that a lot of this can be a dog and pony show as well. The CEO of Wiz and Wiz as a whole maybe never ever had intentions of actually selling, but they wanted to entertain the offer so that before the IPO, which was the original plan, people could say, oh, wow, what is this company that Google just offered to buy? It's their biggest offer ever. Oh, it's Wiz. You haven't heard of it? Check it out, right? You could actually be involved in it once it IPOs. Like that is like the most free publicity that you could get, being catapulted up, to the spotlight by Google trying to acquire you. And it would be the biggest acquisition that company's made ever. So this 1000% could have just been for free publicity. It's like when companies go on Shark Tank and they just want the, they just want the free commercial and they don't actually want to make a deal. That could 1000% be what happened with Wiz here. Now, tech news past the cookies. That's not all. Google has finally decided to drop its plan of removing third-party cookies from its Chrome browser following years of delay and will alternatively offer users the option to opt out. Quote, instead of deprecating third-party cookies, we would introduce a new experience in Chrome that lets people make an informed choice that applies across their web browsing, and they'd be able to adjust that choice at any time, the tech giant said in a blog post. So the UK's antitrust watchdog welcomed the news, which sent ad tech stocks higher on Monday, including Criteo, ticker CRTO, which is up 10%, and Trade Desk, which was up 4.6%, and their ticker is TTD. So a lot of Google headlines going into Google earnings today, right? A lot of Google news happening as we head into Google earnings today. Could be a fun day. Robotics tells C3PO. So Tesla is driving higher at the start of the week as CEO Elon Musk talks up the potential of the Optimus business. I've already talked it up. You guys know how I feel about it. Tesla will have genuinely useful humanoid robots in low production for internal use next year and hopefully high production for other companies in 2026, he announced, following a previous declaration to start selling the robots by the end of 2025. As for Q2 results due in the post-market today, there will be a sharper focus on Tesla's strategic plan, as well as updates related to next-generation vehicles and how they fit into Musk's robo-taxi concept. So both Tesla and I believe Google are after the bell today. I know at least Tesla is for sure. So be aware of that, right? As you look to possibly swing things and all that, earnings is important in terms of like how you go about navigating it. Know that, certain negative earnings can affect the whole market, right? And certain positive earnings can also affect the whole market. And then you could have earnings where you don't move at all, right? So even if you go and you do all the research and you think Tesla's going to have great numbers and that they can beat on the top line, beat on the bottom line, still fall. Right now, Tesla's gotten beaten down, and I think that they've turned it around. And if I had to guess, I'd err to the upside for them. But I'm not betting on it, right? I'm not betting on it. But just saying, based off of number one, the charts with Tesla breaking out, it tends to have where the news falls in line with what the charts are doing, right? Why? Because the charts are a representation of that battle going on between buyers and sellers. And in that battle, who's winning at that point, whichever way big money is going. So right now, big money is pushing toward Tesla going up. And that could be, again, because, a lot of information gets leaked, right? So maybe they know going into it, I'm fine with taking a nice, good long-term position here because I got this little, email from a guy I used to work under me as an assistant. Now he works at Tesla and he sent me a text, right? So that's how it goes. And we'll see how, it moves going into earnings today. But two of the Magnificent Seven reporting today. In terms of earnings weeks, you can get a lot of chop during earnings weeks, indecision as we head into, the actual earnings announcements themselves. And we could get that same thing here today. So just be on the lookout for that, right? Yesterday, SPY was like this, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Unless you're scalping, you're not really getting much of anywhere with that type of movement. So remain patient this week. Let's get these earnings results and, keep our eyes open for opportunities. But when there's a lot going on, you want to make sure you remain patient. You don't try and force it. In terms of today's markets in Asia, Japan flat, Hong Kong down 0.9%, China down 1.7%, India down 0.1%. The footy in London up 0.3%, Paris up 0.5%, Frankfurt up 1.2%, Dow up 0.1%, S&P flat, NASDAQ down 0.1%. So we're basically flat overnight. Crude down 0.3%, gold up 0.6%, Bitcoin down 1.2%. Today's economic calendar, nothing important really happening here today. So what else is happening? Our rapid fire stock news rundown. NVIDIA said to be working on new AI chip for China. Global outage, CrowdStrike slips on analyst downgrades. See, this is what I was talking about, right? When it comes to checking on these different companies. Microsoft, I was fine with because it wasn't directly a Microsoft issue, but this is something that's still hitting CrowdStrike, right? CrowdStrike is, slipping, still dropping, still getting downgraded. You're like, Adam, should I be looking for puts on it? I wouldn't right now, right? Like, it's just, I want to see where it settles. It's a good company, right? It's a good, I believe they gave us our first 1000% return play. So like, they're always going to have a special place in my heart. But it's like, I'm not going to jump in and try and catch the falling knife here because not everything is, oh, it dropped this much. Like, it's time to buy the dip. No, it can keep dropping and it can keep dropping and it can keep dropping. So I'm more focused on trying to get a read on the whole market, right? And then kind of being solidified in that and being able to make moves and have context that's applicable across the board, right? Mental capital is a big thing in this game of trading, investing, and everything in between, and making sure that you are preserving your mental capital for where it's best served is important. You can focus on some random obscure stock and then have no idea what the rest of the market is doing. And then your trade doesn't work out, right? And it's because you have no idea of what's going on in the rest of the board. You're playing a chess game and you're only locked in on, the lower left side. Verizon falls as mixed earnings raise growth concerns. WBD, which is Warner Bros. Discovery, taps matching rights in attempt to stay on NBA deal. Slow adoption, Porsche tones down EV goals. AP, enough Democratic delegates back Harris as nominee, ... but seen as tougher on energy industry than Biden. Mattel, ticker MAT, jumps on report of takeover bid from L. Catterton, and then Johnson Controls, ticker JCI, to sell assets to Bosch, an $8.1 billion deal. So that'll wrap us up, put a bow on it, and take us out. And I love that she's back there just asleep. Look at that. Look at that cute bundle of joy. Not a ton of whining, all that great stuff. She gets used to my routine. But I appreciate everybody for being here and investing in yourselves, right? And your future self will appreciate it as well. Let's make sure that we're actively endeavoring to get 1% better daily. Kaizen, that's the goal. right? And then we'll see that start to return 10-fold, 24-fold, 30-fold in our lives, and close the gap between where we are and where we want to be. So we'll be on the lookout for Tesla, be on the lookout for Google, and let's, continue to have a great week. Everybody have a great rest of the day. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.